On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very exclusive treat. Hailing from a very small town in Minnesota, he defied odds and smashed through adversity to become not just any former NFL superstar wide receiver, but a true embodiment of resilience and determination on and off the field. His name is often combined with grit and grace on the football field, and he has a story that's nothing short of inspirational. Big facts. From his early days excelling in multiple sports to facing and overcome challenges in his college career, his journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and the relentless pursuit of one's dreams with an absolute unwavering faith, which I deeply admire. His journey in the NFL, marked by setbacks and injuries, is a vivid reminder that true strength lies in the ability to rise after we fall. His down to earth personality, combined with his strong faith, offers invaluable insights and support to athletes and non athletes alike, navigating life's transitions and a bit of reinvention as well. No big deal. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific husband and father. Please welcome the determined and multifaceted, the handsome, gritty, and authentic Eric Decker. How you doing, Eric?
Greg, that was awesome, man. I appreciate that. Let me take that one. Read that every morning.
I'll be a hype man. But I did good, buddy. You feeling good?
Yeah, doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great, brother. I'm so pumped for today. I know we've been trying to connect for a little bit, and you and I were having a really deep below the surface conversation before we hit record. And a lot of people think of you, they think of football and stuff like that, but there is so much more that meets the eye. And this conversation is going to be so valuable for a lot of people that are just going through it right now, and also with faith. And so I'm super pumped to dive in. For our listeners, in case you're not familiar, my best suggestion is to do a deep dive and play catch up, check out all the awesome stuff he has going on. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. Before we tap into some of that deep stuff, we're going to have a little bit of fun. You ready for me?
Let's go.
Eric, when you wake up every day, for you personally, brother, what are some non-negotiables for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I've kind of changed my habits. For me, when I wake up, there's some days I wake up, I go right to basketball at 5 in the morning. It's kind of my workout thing. But if I'm not going to basketball, it's waking up, uh, opening my app and kind of doing uh, Bible verse and just kind of meditation with it and kind of setting myself for the day, giving gratitude and kind of, frameworking my mind and my soul to what the day is going to be. And that's been a tremendous change of habit for me because my outlook, my perspective has been so much greater. My heart feels so much bigger in the sense of giving and love and just appreciation. And that's kind of the non-negotiable for sure when I wake up.
Yeah. Isn't that so key to set the tone to start the day?
100%. Yeah, no, it's crazy what small changes, what a big impact they can make. I mean, I've lived it. Been through the ringer and in a deep valley in a sense in my life, and finding these nuggets, to kind of change my habits have been key for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And also, like, if you don't take time to do that and transform from reactive to proactive, the day kind of tends to own you, and then you're kind of playing defense or
Mhm.
trying to catch up. But right away, first priority, the Bible, whatever your thing is, and just put yourself in a good frequency, and it's just a little bit of a different vibe to kick ass during the day.
Yeah, I agree. I think, planning is key. The plan doesn't always work out, but planning does. So I think to your point, whatever that looks like for you, having a plan going into it, I think reduces anxiety, reduces, any kind of friction that you feel, and it kind of sets the tone, like you said, for the day.
Yeah, I love this, brother. There's so many places we could take this conversation, and we'll hit on some of the stuff when you were coming up in your journey and so forth. But obviously, the audience could play catch up. But we were kind of connecting before we recorded a little bit about reinvention. And
Mhm.
for you, I imagine most of your life, athlete and football and stuff like that. And then you ended that particular season of your life. What was that like for you in terms of transitioning? And we've had a lot of athletes on it, and I know sometimes it's a little bit, I don't really like to use the word crisis, but like an identity change, so to speak. What was that process like for you?
Super difficult. I thought I was going to play 12 years in the NFL, and like that was, that was going to do. It's going to be an easy transition. I was going to find something afterwards, and I think when I was going through it, at the end of my career, I struggled with injuries, and that kind of wore down my mental and emotional passion for the game. And so I remember being in New England for training camp, and I was already 1 foot out the door, just mentally not there. And the first week I was at camp, I called my wife. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm coming home. And she's like, no, no, you gotta like give it a true chance. And I called my agent. I'm like, listen, I'm done. He's like, no, I think you need to stick it out. And so at that point, I found relief after I retired in like not having to report to someone, not having, just the criticism within, say, the organization or outside. Is like, I'm free. And like for 4 months, 5 months, it was great for that football season. Like, this is awesome. I don't have to report to anyone. I can wake up in my time. I can spend time with my kids. And then as the ball kept rolling, I found myself kind of idle, and just in my own mind, which I haven't been for a long time. And it got super difficult because it's like, okay, well, what do I want to do? What's that burning passion I have? Never really set myself up to think about that. I've been blessed to, have a longer career, have a wife that is career oriented as well, and never was like a hustle I needed to like fill that void. And so time goes on, COVID pops up, and then I'm really sitting there idle, young kids, can't process in my brain like what is it that's going wrong. And I think I've found out it was like my identity felt like it was stripped, and I wasn't a proactive person in the sense of discovering that, having conversations with mentors or older men. It was like I'm just sitting here on a hamster wheel spinning, and it just kept getting harder and harder and harder. And I think for 3 years, my wife would tell you it was up and down, and I just struggled mentally because I couldn't find that purpose, or just the peace in a sense in my soul. And so last year for me was a huge commitment to reinventing myself. That was the season for me. And uh, just committing to a couple, mentor weekly conversations, going to a couple different weekend retreats to really like find the root of myself, and redefine, okay, what are my principles? Who am I? What is, that little burning fire saying to me? And how do I put that together? And so, uh, it, through these difficulties, it helped me kind of like get to this point, which I think, now, like your story, Craig, is like, this is a purpose for me, is to help others, and to share my story, and to be, I guess, just another story, a motivating factor to get on board and do the work. Like self-discovery, self-growth has been tremendously important to me.
Yeah, and also, isn't it like the best drug, right? Working on yourself and removing limiting beliefs, and also going through it. And I love that you gave yourself permission, right? To give yourself a little bit of grace. It is a tough. Imagine it's specifically when you're so used to doing something for so long, and I love the way you described. Like at first, it was liberating. It was a little bit of a relief, but then it was like, wait a minute, there's 24 hours in a day. I'm not, at the gym necessarily, or practicing. I'm sure you're still at the gym, but not practicing, doing drills and doing all these things. I'm gonna find some other stuff in my time, and I can't wait to hear what you're up to now and so forth. But the most important thing during a transition like that is faith, and obviously personal development, and
Yeah.
just working on yourself. And then when you continuously commit to that, it's only a matter of time before you put it together and enter that next season.
Yeah, you're right. I think I found out too, sports was a distraction for me. I mean, since I was a young kid, I was just busy playing sports because I loved it and it was a passion of mine, but also it was a way to like escape in a sense, and be in an environment that all I had to focus on was the task at hand, and was, the goal of the team. And that was the same thing coming into a young adult. Was, you can kind of push down maybe stuff you had to deal with, or problems that you had. Like, I'm here. I'm focused on football. It's kind of the blinders are on. And as you get that taken away and stripped away, like all of a sudden those, things you didn't deal with are coming back to you. And um, I think the emotional intelligence and emotional development, is so key. And especially I didn't have a foundation of spirituality. I think that was kind of taken away because I did, like, I allowed it to not be in my life. And I grew up as a Christian, and very important to me, but then slowly got taken away. And I think I realized that that is like the root for me that is obviously important to the balance of filling up all the cups I have in my life. And so as I started pulling those things back and finding, peace again in myself, it was tremendous, just the transformation.
That's a beautiful word there, peace. It's
Yeah,
interesting because I imagine a lot of people have different definitions of the word success. Obviously, mine was a little more unenlightened a few years back, but now a good word that comes to mind is peace. Right? Like
yeah,
I sleep good at night, go to bed next to my beautiful fiance. I wake up, I get to do something I love, collaborate with awesome humans like you, and so forth. And peace is really the most important thing because if you have everything else but you don't have peace, then what do you really have?
yeah. Yeah, and to your point, I think our society, our culture has, skewed what success is. Like you said, success as a man is making money, getting the beautiful girl, driving, having material stuff. Like that's the chase. But in reality, that's like, external, empty fulfillment. And the
Yep.
fulfillment comes from knowing who yourself is, you know, filling up that cup, uh, and allowing yourself to live a free, peaceful, fulfilling life.
You nailed it. Like, and just to be clear, like some of those stuff during this physical, human experience are fun and they're nice, but they're only temporary fulfillment. It's like, a
Mhm.
moment. But connecting and a faith and a solid foundation, and for the audience, like whatever your thing is, but when you really connect to something bigger, that is lasting fulfillment.
So true. And connection is everything. I agree 100% because that's what in like the darkest days for me was what I was missing. I was isolating myself and not connecting, whether it's, with my family, my wife and my kids, or my friends, and really being able to share life together. I think that's the biggest one of the biggest differences as well is just that connection and how much that fills you up as well, because it's like we're humans, we have to we're social creatures and we need to have people in our life to share life with. And I think that was big for me to find, like, again, mentors, especially men, to like share life with and just go through life with, because they've been through it, they understand it, and it's just like a big brother.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Eric, how dark did it get, brother?
Well, I think, um it was kind of I mean, I was depressed 100%. And I think functioning depressed person in the sense that I was still present, but not, just present, not emotionally like all in. And I think
Yes.
that was the hard thing for me, because I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's always like I'm fine, and things are good. And it was just volatile in the sense of my emotions. Things were good, things weren't good, things were, and just could never figure out what that baseline was. And once I started to dive in and like commit to the work, it was like, wow, you know what? Like I was just not in a good place. And I don't think I was good, to myself to be able to be the best version for everyone in my life. And that's now obviously a commitment to me, is to be the best version of myself and focus on those things. And that's, again, looking inward helped me tremendously to be better outward to those around me.
Yeah. This is so relatable to me. But right before I reinvented myself, like sometimes I'd be around, like maybe with family, and like, it was almost like the lights were on, but no one was home. Like,
Yeah,
and I wanted to be present and stuff, but I wasn't like diagnosed, but I was how I would describe depressed. I was
for sure.
anxious about the future. I was like, sad about the past. I was anywhere but the present.
Yep.
Um, but then eventually, I did the work and I finally found something that I really felt called to. Um, what are you up to right now? What are you most excited about today? Besides family and faith and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're having our fourth baby here in a month. So
Congrats, brother.
appreciate it. I'm excited about that. I love being dad. Love, I get the time to really invest in my kids and what they do, from a sports perspective, school, and just my youngest son actually loves music. So being able to create that environment, put him in that environment is special as well. There's, different ventures I've been getting involved with, that are fun, just some different passion projects with friends. One that deals with kind of skincare stuff, one that deals in the spirit business. And so those things are starting to come together this year. But I think most importantly, it's continuing to do work for myself and figure out what is that purpose. And I've done a lot of work with a friend that started the foundation with mental health, and just want to carve out like what does that look like for me, where I can assert myself and help out, and like how can I create something like that for adolescents? Because I feel, in today's society, especially with social media and having kids, my fear is just like it's so easy to get distracted or find paths to go down that are unhealthy. And how do you create a human and give them kind of a foundation like we talked about of spirituality, of principles, of knowing who they are and giving them the confidence in themselves to make those decisions? Because I feel like that's something I didn't have uh, as an adolescent. And now as a father, like I'm keen to do that for these young kids.
Yeah, beautifully said. And it's interesting because one of the other things that we were talking about before we went on air and hit record is that, when we were growing, we're probably around the same age. When we were growing up, as a man or as a young guy, like to talk about vulnerable stuff or to maybe express something that you were struggling with, that was kind of frowned upon or looked at as
Yeah.
weakness. And one of the things that you're doing, which I really admire, and so am I, specifically with the show and so forth, is expressing that vulnerability is actually a sign of strength and
Hmm.
courage. And we need to open up more conversations like this for specifically guys. I mean, obviously everybody, but to come together and realize that it's not always perfect, right? But how do
Yeah.
we get through it, and what are some tools and so forth?
Yeah. And part of that conversation, I mentioned toxic masculinity. To your point, like, a man is supposed to be tough. He's supposed to be the, the defender of his house, of his clan. And like, yes, you're right. But at the same point, you can also be vulnerable in the sense that no one is perfect. And, we are human and we need people and we make mistakes and that things are hard sometimes. And that's okay because that's part of life. Nothing, for me, if forever, it was being a perfectionist. And I think that that's a volatile state as well because quickly things can get out of control. And then it's like, well, I need to look perfect. So, you know, I'm a people pleaser. I'm going to make sure everyone's happy. I'm going to make sure everything looks a certain way. That's what like was those external factors that gave fulfillment that are so volatile. And so I think being true and having integrity and being vulnerable is so important to living a full life and fulfilling life.
Yeah, 100%. When you played for the Jets, did you live out here?
I lived in Morristown,
Nice. That
former Barker, where the facility was at. So West Jersey was the place to be.
was that's right. That was a fun run. And then obviously
Yeah,
before that you had the Broncos, which was nuts.
yeah, yeah. It was a great career. I think I look back and definitely blessed with some of the guys I got to play with, the success we had. Still 2013 being uh, we set all the offensive records that we still hold to this day. Be able to kind of live in the glory days and remember all the fun times is super special, especially to share with my boys now. My second child is 8, my oldest boy, and he's just a football fanatic. And I think it's really cool to kind of see him light up when we watch highlights of the Broncos or talk about certain guys because he's a stat man and just loves football.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And specifically with the Broncos, when you guys had all those records and Peyton Manning came in and so forth, what was that like the ability to improve maybe as a player, seeing a guy like Peyton come in and such a seasoned, obviously all-time great and so forth, did that actually help elevate your own game?
It did tremendously. Yeah, I think him coming in, especially as a young player, just showed me how to study film, how to break down defenses, how to practice properly, and he really was the general. When we were on the field, everything was done for a purpose, and we, you know, reps, routes over and over and went over plays. And the ability to play fast like we did was just all the practice and time we invested beforehand. And that's a testament to, I think, just the dedication from the team, but also the leadership from Peyton. And, off the field, I think just being a guy's guy and why, he has so much success was because he had the respect from the organization, not just the players and the coaches, but the organization, the people that came in and, cleaned the facility, the people that worked behind made the food in the cafeteria. All the people respected him because he gave his time to each individual. So I just enjoyed my time and really took a lot from that time with him.
Yeah, that's I to be honest with you, I love the way you said that. It's like a true sign of a leader is my mindset is like the camera's always on. In other words, even when no one's watching, like how do you treat the janitor, right? Or anybody that you made respect. That was a fun run. And then obviously you got the big contract and came to the Jets. I'm a diehard Jets fan, always has been, hasn't always been easy. Uh, but it was really fun watching you and so forth. Did you play with Gino and also Fitzpatrick?
Yep, Gino, Michael Vick, Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Vic, that's right.
Yeah, he was there the first year,
I forgot
2015.
about that.
Yep. That was, you know what? And I'm happy Gino's had some success over the last few years, but
Yeah.
I've always thought he threw the ball probably the best that I've played with in terms of,
Really?
yeah, just the spiral and the catchability of the ball. It's just, he was young. And I think figuring out how to study football, how to dedicate himself. And two, just that year, I think we were planning on bringing in a lot more assets that, we didn't. So it was tough. But then Fitzpatrick comes in, Brandon Marshall, and that was a special year. That was 2015. 2014 was with Gino. And, just that was our opportunity. And we kind of blew it, I guess, in the last game. But a lot of fun memories. This is just a really cool team to be a part of. Uh, New York, New Jersey is honestly one of the best cities to play for. I still love going up there. I've been up to a few games this season, and I'll continue to go just because I love the organization. I love the fan base, and I'm really rooting for like a playoff run. And I think Rodgers, if he's healthy, I think we can do it.
Yeah. I mean, they got some studs on there, Brees Hall and
Yeah.
obviously the receiver and so forth.
Garrett, yeah, Garrett Wilson. I mean, there's young talent and just defense is solid. Just need to get a quarterback to run the show.
Yeah. Do you still watch football like religiously?
Yeah, my boys love football. I got 8-year-old and 5-year-old, and so we'll watch it every Sunday. Sometimes I'm on in the background, but definitely enjoy still watching the game. Still some guys I play with or know that are out there, but just it'll always be a part of me. I
Always.
love the game and love to see people compete.
Yeah. Do your kids want to be football players?
My son does. He's football's his favorite, and I'm all for it. I think sports is such a good place uh, to build, character, to build values, and I think it's important for everyone to be, active in that at a young age because it also gets you just to learn to communicate and be social. I mean, the team aspect is super important, and that's going to carry on your life forever.
Yeah.
And so obviously don't want him to put pads on for a while, but I support whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. I love that. And I imagine, it makes sense seeing their pops, superstar, and so forth. In regards to football, but really just sports in general, because I know you played a bunch. What characteristics do you think are most relevant or transferable to be successful in other areas of life?
I think the big one is just dealing with adversity, being able to fall down, to lose, uh, to drop a ball, to do something maybe negative, get back up and keep going and make the next play. Um, and so I think that to me in life in general, like life isn't a perfect, you
No.
know, line, right? I mean, we have these pitfalls, we have adversity throughout our life, and learning how to deal with that is so important to give you the tools to keep moving on. And so that to me is most important. I think teamwork, like I said, dedication, commitment to something, is super important. And just the understanding of the environment, of pressure, of what what it takes to focus under pressure. All those things are big takeaways that I think are transferable in life regardless. And I've had this conversation with John Fox, who was my coach in Denver. And it's like, if every individual could be a part of a sports team or the military, I think we'd have a whole different culture and world, truthfully. Because you learn to respect one another,
Mm.
not caring where they come from, what their political views are, what their religious views are. Like, you're in this together for a common goal. And that's the thing. You don't have to love someone, but you respect someone. And I think, to me, that's another important thing I try to teach my kids is regardless of whether you like someone or not, you're going to respect them, period. And when you're in the trenches, when you're going through, training camp or off-season program, when it's hot and you're tired and you're sore, it's you pick each other up. And again, that's an important characteristic or character builder in life in general.
That was really beautiful, brother. And first of all, I agree with you. Um, you know, when it comes to like a successful relationship with your partner, oftentimes like words that get thrown around to make that successful is communicate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one that always stuck out to me, and I didn't always make the right choices, but now thank God I did, and planning a wedding and so forth. A word that comes to mind is respect, because you don't have to agree with every single thing each other thinks or values and does, but as long as there's a respect factor there, then like an argument can never be too ugly and stuff like that. And you're talking about even a broader scale, like humanity, right? Like the military and sport, it teaches you to just respect everybody. And I
Hmm.
think about like even like a UFC fight, like afterwards, most of the time, like they just beat the hell out of each other, but they'll shake hands
Yeah.
because they both had a goal, but at the end of the day, they respect each other, even if they don't necessarily like each other. And
Yep.
hearing you say like sports and the military, that makes perfect sense. Like that teaches you to do that at an earlier age.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, for relationships in general, respect is important because you will never agree on everything and
No.
everything will not be easy. But as long as you can hear their side and be able to communicate your side and find common ground in a sense, that is respect.
Yeah. Speaking of relationships, your wife is a badass country singer. I saw somewhere that you were into country way back before you even met her. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, a small town boy from Minnesota, rural Minnesota. I mean, country was, backbone of what I grew up with. So yeah, I always loved country music, and she kind of has gone from obviously pop to country, but she's a Southern girl, military brat. Uh, so country is in her roots, and yeah, it's fun to see her have success. Music is kind of one pillar of what she does. She's been able to hustle and grind and build a brand and do a lot of cool things. And so I love supporting her. I love seeing her, live out her dream and have success. And that's important too for our kids to see that, what, mommy is mommy. She comes, cooks dinner, loves on you, but at the same point, she's a career driven woman that is a badass and gets things done. And so, it shows our oldest daughter that she can do that. And it shows our sons how to respect and what to look for in a woman. So it's been a fun ride, a fun journey. Obviously tough at times when she's on the road and
Yeah.
it's just never consistent with her being home, but that's part of being in this business.
Yeah, isn't that so cool? Like, you guys are a power couple, and you both have your own individual, unique aspirations and ambitions, and I think that's so beautiful. As there should be no stigma, like, oh, if you're a mom, you can't do this, that, whatever the case may be. Like, I love seeing people go for it, and
Yeah.
also in regard, I don't have kids yet. God willing, that is the future. Although I have a furry one, who's gonna be one this week. But I always thought like because a lot of people that are in our community and audience are aspiring entrepreneurs and stuff like that, but sometimes they don't have necessarily the courage to go all in. And I always think like, if you're going to tell your kids like, hey, sweetheart, you could be anything you want in this world. But meanwhile, you might be stuck at a dead end job or something that's sucking your soul. They're gonna look back and say, well, mom, why aren't you? Right? How come you didn't go for it? and the fact that you guys are both pursuing your dreams of what it's just so inspiring, not obviously to also to the world, but also in your household, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is a message to the kids to shoot big, dream big,
That's
go
it.
for it. And if you don't quite get there, guess what? Everything in between that and the ground is are tools for you to use and resources and confidence to give you to try something else and move on to the next opportunity. And so for the longest time, I think that was always, again, something for me I struggled with was failure, was letting people down. And as I kind of reinvented myself, it's part of like, you know what, it's okay. I'm going to let myself down. I'm going to let other people down, but like at the same point, I'm gonna stay true to who I am and go for what I want. So kind of creating that personality or just belief and passing that to your child is like, okay, well, I'm safe. Like this is my safe environment. I'm gonna shoot for the stars. If I don't get there, I know that I have this baseline of my family who's gonna love me and support me, and I'm gonna find something else because I'm dedicated and committed to what that is.
Love that. And also, like, if you're failing, you're trying. And there's a big
Yes,
difference between failing and being a failure, right? If
yes,
you're failing, like, it's just on to the next one and you take the lesson, so it's not for nothing. But if you're a failure, that just means you're done.
and that's, I think, such an important message for our younger generation because, like I said, social media, you can create these environments that like will give you the answers you want and will provide those things. But once there's some friction, once there's a challenge, in the sense of failure, uh, I feel like that they run. They're not able to handle that environment, be uncomfortable. And so I think teaching these kids how to be uncomfortable, how you know there's diversity in the sense of the way we think, the way we respond, the way we act, and it's okay. Like this is what you believe. This is kind of your foundation. Like trust that and go for what it is. And guess what? Yeah, you might hit a wall. You might have to jump over a hurdle, but it's okay. Like keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah. I love the just the raw vulnerability coming from you. And a word that comes to mind is authenticity. And
Mm.
for me, it took me a long time to finally be authentic. I guess I was showing up inauthentically for years. I was following the footsteps of other people's expectations, like this Wall Street persona. I don't even know whose expectations, if I'm being honest. But then when I finally just made a commitment, I'm just going to be me for the first time in my life. And let's see what happens with this personal branding stuff. And ironically, that's really when the world began to see me and so forth. What does the word authenticity mean to you, brother?
Just means love yourself, and by loving yourself, you're true to yourself and you can live in your own skin and you know believe what you believe, say what you believe. You just be in you. And I think people resonate to that because they know what they're getting. It's not a front. It's not a cover up. It's who you are. What you see is what you get. And I think it's so important because for yourself to live that way, I think just gives you that freedom. And with that freedom, it unlocks so many uh, things and potential that we all have God gifts to give to this world. And I think once you get to that place, you can discover that and to be able to provide that gift to this world. And I think what you're doing is tremendous. Obviously, hustling off Wall Street and making a bunch of money is attractive to people. It's like, well, you can make a bunch of money, you can retire young, and just do what you want. But okay, yeah, sure, but how's that fulfilling? I think fulfillment is you discover yourself and you give that nugget to the world of like, listen, I'm here to educate, to be and demonstrate, and to just to show. And I think all those things are super important to show this younger generation.
Yeah, I love it, bro. Beautifully said. I think, part of all of our purposes is to utilize our gifts to make some sort of impact and express our soul and contribute.
Hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, beautifully said. Real quick, I just wanted to ask you off the cuff, what was reality TV like?
It was interesting for sure. Obviously uncomfortable off the jump, just because it's a new environment, it's different. But after a while, it really wasn't that bad, because reality TV is kind of scripted TV, in the sense that the lead up to our wedding, we would say, all right, listen, we need to film flower shopping, venue shopping, looking at taste testing the food. All those things were in a sense scenes. So we go, all right, we're gonna go today and taste the food, action, and everything. Obviously, between uh, those lines are just like authentically ourselves. But it wasn't like the cameras were in our faces 24/7, 7 days a week. It was like a job. You show up and 6 hours of filming, but you had these things you had to do. Um,
It was like an
and
outline.
basically, yeah, it was an itinerary of what you were going to film. And the camera guys we had, I still talk with, are like brothers. And because it's intimate in the sense that they're in your life, they get to see kind of the growth and what's going on, especially we're talking about a wedding, talking about up until a childbirth, like really important things in your life. And so I think it's a blessing to be able to share those things with our kids and with other people. But also, I think it was done, now looking back, tastefully, but we were just young and crazy. Uh, just like we are who we are. This is who we are, and so it was a cool experience. Now having kids, I'd say we wouldn't do it anymore, but we definitely enjoyed the process.
Yeah, I love that. Beautifully said. We'll end the plane with one final deep nugget and we'll have a little fun. For somebody that's going through it right now, like maybe struggling with their mental health or in a season of transition and so forth, based upon your experience, what can you suggest them, or what's something they can do to kind of get back into the light and so forth?
And I think it's different for everyone, but I think it starts with calming your nervous system, in the sense of whether that is a meditation type thing, if it's breathing, if it's conversations with a professional or a mentor friend, um, and just kind of figuring out what it is and why am I here, what is it that I'm struggling with, and identifying that in yourself, you know, looking in rather than out, and identifying that, being real, like being absolutely real with yourself on what that looks like, and then coming up with a plan on what's it going to take to get me to a better place. And I think, again, there's professional help out there for everyone. If you can't do that, find, like I said, a mentor or friend. Read. There's so many books now, and there's podcasts. I mean, listen to your podcast and be able to take away some of these nuggets that you can, interpret however and put in your life, and use it. And so that, I think, is key. And with that, slowly builds understanding, which builds confidence, which gives you, the ability to go and handle it.
Beautifully said. I love that. And also community, right? Proximity, be around people that you can
Yes.
trust, and people going through it. I love it. This was awesome. So much fun. We'll end up playing with a little bit of rapid fire, maybe 1 minute, 1 or 2 word answers. Have a little fun. You ready to get a little weird?
Let's try. Let's go.
Okay. Favorite movie, brother?
Step Brothers.
My fiance loves that one. Classic.
Hilarious.
Your last meal on earth would be?
Mm. Steak and potatoes.
Oof, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Glazed donuts.
Your favorite workout?
A sport. So basketball right now for me, pickleball.
Pickleball is trendy right now.
It is.
Yeah. Your favorite book?
Mm, great question. Emerging man. I look at the title. I think Emerging Man. Michael DeSanti is the book I'm reading right now.
It's a
Good
good
book.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. I might text you later and get that.
Yeah. Text me later.
Okay. Favorite musician, not including your wife.
Ah, Favorite musician? Oh man, you know what? I have to go Chris Stapleton.
Great one.
Yeah.
And the final nugget, um, who's your pick to win the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Baltimore Ravens. The Harbaugh family's taking it down this year.
Yeah, they
Doing
won.
it.
He won last night, right?
Did, yeah. Michigan won last night.
Yeah, that's awesome. Baltimore looks good.
Yeah. I mean, they're strong. Defense is solid, and offensively they can pound you. Lamar is just so athletic. You know, as long as he stays healthy, they'll have a run.
And he has a supporting cast this year.
He does, yeah. Yeah, they're running the ball good. I think, you know, that with a good defense, it's hard to beat in playoffs.
Yeah, it seems like the Eagles and the Chiefs aren't as dominant as maybe they once were, or maybe
Yeah.
last year.
I mean, Philly hasn't played well over the last month. I think Kansas City just hasn't had the same offensive weapons
Yeah,
as they had in the past. So, but again, Kansas City with home field advantage is tough to beat as well. So
sure.
you just don't never know what happens.
49ers look dangerous too.
49ers are dangerous. They're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What do you think of
Uh,
Brock Purdy? I'm happy for him.
Solid. Yeah. I mean, what a story. It's so cool to see guys that are underlooked, and kind of our underdogs in that
My favorite
sense,
stories.
and just come out and just have success and be consistent. Just, I know he's got a lot, obviously, weapons around him, but at the same point, he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, he looks like a bit more than just a game manager, I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. For our listeners, our audience is very engaging and so forth. What's the best way for everybody to support you right now, brother?
Just follow along. Trying to be more active this year on Instagram. I kind of took a break last year, but just to share more on Instagram of what I'm doing, what I'm up to. And I'll give more information that way. I think, what, again, ventures I'm a part of, what, this foundation is super important to me, what we're doing with that work and how maybe others can help, or just the education behind it. Follow along on Instagram.
Done and done. This was awesome, brother. Hang out for 1 sec. I want to connect with you after.
Yeah.
Eric, I want you to know the definition of authenticity, determination, and a beautiful faith. I can personally guarantee your best is yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets today.
Thanks, bro.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, that was
That went
great.
by quick, right?
Yeah, I was like, what time is it? 10:20.
Yeah. I try to, everyone can Wikipedia you and do all that stuff. I try to talk about some cool, more meaningful stuff that I think will
Yeah.
really be valuable today.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I think I assumed that was going to be the conversation, and I think it's just a good message to keep sharing. And this is just can help one person at a time. I mean, that's what matters.
That's it, brother. I'd love to stay connected.
Yeah, yeah. Take down my number.